Okay, section 6, we have a lot to cover in this section. We're going to use the symbol palette to create new symbols, and we're going to use the symbol libraries to pick out different pictures that go along with our graphic organizer and changing those symbols to match, and also doing some searches of the library to find pictures that match better to what we'd like to use. So the first thing we need to do is add some other symbols to this screen. This My Favorites is going to be our main symbol, and we're going to branch off of that. So what we need to do is create some other symbols to represent the other areas. In our symbol palette, what we want to do is choose some symbols to place into these other areas. Now first, I'll show you a couple different ways to do this. The first way I'll show you is the dragging method. If, for instance, I wanted to use these diamonds, one way to create symbols is to click on the symbol and hold the left mouse key down as you drag out of the symbol library, and then let go when you pick a location you want it to be. Afterwards, you can always move it any direction you'd like. So I'll show you that again. I go to this area where the diamond is, I click and I hold and drag. Another way to do this is to click in a location where you'd like a symbol to be. You will notice there is a plus sign. If I have that selected and I click, it will put that type of symbol in that location. One of the things to watch out for when you're using this method is that if, say for instance, I had this selected and I go to click on this, it will not give me a new symbol. What it'll do is change the symbol that is selected to that symbol. What I want to do is change it back to a circle there by using this symbol up here. There's a bunch of symbols available up here and here as well, and these pictures can be symbols also. What I want to do is complete this section by having 4 diamonds. Now in your own diagram, I'd like you to create 4 diamond symbols either by clicking and dragging or by clicking in a spot and then clicking on the symbol right now. Pause at this point, and when you're done, come back to this video. Okay, these symbols here, we're going to review something we talked about in section 5, adding text, is going to be our different subcategories of our favorites. So the first thing to do would be to click onto one of the sections, and our 4 subsection categories of My Favorites are going to be people, places, things, and activities. So at this point, I'd like you to pause this video, switch over to inspiration, and add these 4 categories. When you're done, come back to this video and continue. Okay, hopefully you were able to create these 4 categories. Now we're going to create subcategories off of these subcategories. So subtopics of, for instance, the area for things. Now, in these areas here, you will find the different symbols you can use. You can also find pictures. For instance, if, for instance, one of my favorite things was the planet Earth, I can choose that, but that might fit more into places. Or, for instance, one of my favorite places was Cape Cod. What I can do is use this symbol here, and I can either drag it out like I did before, or I could click on a location and click on this symbol and it will put it there. Now I don't need both, so if one's selected, I could just use the delete key to get rid of it. Now the difference between a symbol like this, a picture symbol, and one of these symbols is that if I was to add the information, which you would want to do, for instance Cape Cod, with this selected, and if I start typing, the writing goes beneath the picture in a text box instead of inside of the symbol itself. So that's one thing to keep in mind, that when you're using pictures, the writing goes underneath the symbol, not inside of it, which makes sense because there's really no room inside of the symbol to have writing, whereas this typically has it. So any of these the writing would go inside, same as these, and then any of these pictures on the bottom, the writing would go underneath. Alright, since I have a section here, I have one item, I want you to create 4 different items under each section. So what I'm going to do is show you an example of ways that you might do this. So my second symbol, for right now I'm just going to use regular symbols, and I'm going to change them later. So I'm going to create another symbol, and another symbol, and another symbol. And I'll put in Colorado. In this section I'll put Connecticut. And in this section I'll put Arizona. Which are 4 places that I do like, I have enjoyed visiting. So I'll put these sections here and arrange them in a way so that they will eventually become linked to this section, which will become linked to this section. So what I would like you to do at this point, and I'll take as much time as you need, you can create these different symbols, these rectangles, for each section, and I will show you afterwards how to change them to symbols. When you're done with 4 categories, subcategories in each area, come back to this video to find out how to use the symbol library more efficiently. Okay, hopefully you have 4 different sections in each area. In this case I just have this one area done. What I want to do next is to change the symbols to match this information better. Now, I don't see anything underneath here that matches Colorado or Connecticut or Arizona. So what I can do is check through some of the other libraries of symbols that are available. Different ways to do that are to use the arrows to switch through different ones. And as you can see, it goes through different pictures of different objects. There's also a drop down arrow here to go through and look at different categories or sections in here. Now if I was to go to social studies, it's possible I could find something about government that would apply to one of those states, but a better category would be geography. You'll find sections on states, and if I did A through L, I would find all of those states. Now, if, for instance, this state here is Colorado, it's just basically a rectangle. If I have that selected and I click on it, it will change the symbol to whatever is here. Now I can go through and I can use the other symbols here for Connecticut and Arizona. But what I'd like to do is use the search technique to try to find a more accurate symbol to use. So in this case, the enter search words at the bottom section, I could type in information. If I was to type in Arizona here and hit enter, it will find this symbol, which I would have seen in the library, but it also finds some other symbols in here. For instance, it finds some pictures of different things inside of Arizona. This here looks like it could be part of Sedona. So what I'll do is I'll make sure that I have Arizona selected and then click on this picture, and it will change the image to that without having to rewrite the word Arizona outside of it. It will take care of that automatically. So what I'd like you to do now is either use the existing libraries, these categories, to change your symbols for each of your categories, or to use the search bar to look for different things that are of interest to you, and then use those to change the symbols. And that concludes this section 6 of your tutorial. In section 7, we'll be looking at linking these symbols together.